Well, hi there. This is Caleb Jones, and this is Alpha Male 2.0, freedom focused lifestyle design for men, location independent income, through your own location independent business that you own and control, dating multiple attractive women long term with no lying, cheating, drama, or BS. The freest lifestyle a man can possibly live in the collapsing era in which we find ourselves. And today we have not only a big topic, but perhaps the biggest topic when it comes to men and their relationships or interactions with women in a romantic or sexual context. That is the concept of oneitis. This is the single biggest problem with men. And we're going to go into that in detail today, in great detail today, more than I ever have before, I think. Although outside of my books, I go to more detail in my books. You want extreme detail, go buy my books. Store.calebjones.com. If you're watching the video, you can probably tell that I am in a new location yet again. I am still in Scottsdale, Arizona. I am renting an office for the day. Pink Firefly's apartment. I have lots of meetings today, and she works somewhat remotely, so she has meetings today, and I had meetings. There's no way both of us could talk in her apartment, even if I moved to another room because I have a loud voice. So there you go. So I rent an office for a day, and I'm actually getting this office for free. Pretty cool. Well, it looks really good, the video too. I look very blue today. Real quick, I'll tell you a story. And before we get to our big topic here. So this actually is a good segue into our story. Then I have an experiment that I'm going to run with you guys. Those who want to participate in an experiment, I'm going to discuss that in a minute. So here's the story. So I just heard this a few days ago. So a man has 3 girlfriends because he's non-monogamous. So good for him. And he's also stupid. So he wants to pick one and get traditionally monogamously married to her because he's a dumbass and he's full of societal programming. So he says, well, I can't marry all 3, so I got to pick one to marry. So what he says is he comes with a plan. He goes, all right, I'm going to give each woman $5,000. Right? I'm going to watch what they do with the money, and that'll tell me who I can marry. So he gives each woman $5,000. The first woman takes the $5,000 and gets a full makeover, hair, makeup, skin, just a full makeover to look really hot as she possibly can. And she goes back to him and she says, I spent it on a full makeover so I can look pretty for you. He's like, okay, pretty cool. Second woman takes the $5,000 and buys him golf clubs because she knows he likes to golf. Buys him a MacBook Air and buys him a big flat screen TV, like 80-inch. She goes, I took this $5,000 and I bought these things for you because I love you. He's like, well, that's really cool. Awesome. Third woman takes the $5,000 and buys some investing books and invests it in something, stock market or something like that. And she very quickly doubles her money, makes another $5,000, $10,000 total, gives him back the original $5,000 he gave her, and takes the rest of the $5,000 and invests it for the long term. And she goes, hey, I didn't cost any money. I gave you the money back, and I took the $5,000 to invest, and I invested it for us for our future because I love you. He's like, wow. So after all this, he sits down and he thinks very carefully about which woman to marry. And finally, he decides to marry the woman with the biggest tits. And that's how men are, right? Tell me I'm wrong. I like how women think men are all complicated and shit. Hang on. Where a woman says, if he says he's okay, what does that mean? It means he's okay. If a woman says she's okay, does that mean she's okay? No, it means all kinds of things. So it gives you an example about how, and I've talked about this many times. By the way, I got to keep my voice a little lower than it usually is. I'm trying not to yell because I'm in a shared office here. They put me in an area where there's very few other people, but I'm trying to keep my voice down, which is hard for me. But men, I talk about how women are insane. Men are dumb. Women are insane, right? So men are dumb like that. Go these experiments, and they marry the woman with the biggest tits or the biggest ass, or the one who's best in bed, or the one who calls him daddy during sex, or any of these other things. Right? This is how men work, right? All these other details are just details. So there you go. few questions. Before I get to the questions, I'm going to give you an experiment. So this is an experiment that I'm going to try in the next 2 weeks, okay? So next week, yet again, I will be traveling. I'll be traveling to Paraguay, then Uruguay. And then finally, my travel is over around July 14th, where I'm settled in Paraguay for several months. And so there will be an Unchained CEO live stream next week, podcast, yes. There will not be an Alpha 2.0 one because I'll be traveling that day. But anyway, here's an experiment that you can help me with. In order to help me with this experiment, you must be under the age of 35. So if you're over the age of 35, you can participate, but you don't count toward the experimental data. This is an unscientific experiment, all right? If you are under the age of 35, the only other requirement is I'm going to give you the name of a song. And you cannot have ever heard this song. You could have heard of this song, but you could have never heard this song. And the song is, I think I've forgotten the name of the group. Hang on a second. Let me pull the song up here. I'll explain this experiment in a minute. Actually, hang on. Let me bring up another screen here. This should be very interesting. Let's see, a bit confirm. Yes, okay. The name of the song is Sarah, S-A-R-A. It is an 80s song by the band Starship. Now, don't do this right now. You can do this right now, but don't listen to the song if you're going to do this experiment, because I'm going to tell you how to do this experiment. What I want you to do, if you're under the age of 35 and you've never heard this song before, so if you start playing the song and you go, oh, yeah, I've heard that song, you are disqualified from participating in the experiment. You can still do what I'm about to say, just for your own data set. But what I'm looking for are men under the age of 35, or women, if you're a woman listening to this. Here's what I want you to do, if you want me to help me out with this experiment. And I will, you can update me on this the next time we talk. All right? What I want you to do, if you're a man under 35 who's never heard this song, Starship is the name of the group, Sarah is the song. What I want you to do is this. I want you to, don't do this right now. I mean, you could do this right now if you're listening to the replay or the podcast. You could pause this and do this right now. It'll take about 4 minutes. The song is about 4.5 minutes long. What I want you to do is I want you to get the best speakers that you have access to. If you got amazing speakers on your desk, great, use those. If you have better headphones, put on some headphones, okay? The best audio you have access to, and I want you to turn away from your computer, put your phone away, and I want you to listen to the entire song, okay? And while you're listening to the song, you cannot do anything else. You just need to look out the window. I want you to just fully immerse yourself and experience the music of that song. All right? That's it. Don't check your phone. Don't multitask. Listen to the music. Some of you can't even do that because you're all, your dopamine is all fucked up. You got to do something constantly. You can't focus anything. Listen to the song for 4.5 minutes. Okay? When the song is over, I want you to comment on this video, or you can send me an email at theonlyblackdragon@gmail.com. And I want you to tell me if this song caused any emotional resonance with you. If you listen to the song and you don't feel anything emotionally, you say, I felt nothing emotionally, but it was a very good song. Or I felt nothing emotionally and the song sucked. Or I listened to the song and boy, it really hit me emotionally in these ways. I want you to tell me what, if any, emotional resonance this song gave you. And it may give you none. Matter of fact, I'm betting it probably will give you none, but this is what the experiment is. I don't know what this experiment, I don't know. Caleb, what the hell is the point of this experiment? Well, I don't want to explain it fully because I don't want to influence the results. I grew up in the 80s. And as you know, when you listen to certain songs, it brings back memories of what you were experiencing when you first heard that song, right? This is true with all of us. So when I hear that song, I remember exactly, I was in 7th grade and I was thinking about the girl I had a crush on and I was in a gymnasium. I mean, as soon as I hear that song, it brings me right back. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 15 songs from the 80s that my generation, Generation X, really, really emotionalized. That's one of them. It's not even a rock. I'm into metal. I don't like pop music, but that song is one of those that transcends this. I'm not saying that song is good or bad. I'm saying it means a lot of, it has a lot of emotional resonance for people who grew up in the 80s. So what I'm trying to figure out is, if the quality of the music alone is enough to elicit emotions, or if it's purely the time in which the music was heard. That's this experiment will tell me. Also, I've watched a lot of videos lately on why the quality of the music, the quality of Western music is declining. I mean, it's a huge, big thing. Matter of fact, I can give you, put my glasses on here, give you a quick summary analysis of why that is. This goes back to the collapse of the Western world. Hang on a moment here. Give some bullet points on some music experts were talking about this. Where are we? Shit, where is it? If I can't find this in a few seconds, I'm going to skip this. Here we go. Why music is shitty now as compared to the peak. The peak of music, in my opinion, is 60s, 70s, 80s. 60s, 70s, 80s music is the peak of music in the Western world. Outside of like, I shouldn't say, I said modern Western world because you have Beethoven and Bach. Those are better. But in terms of the modern Western world, I think music peaked 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. 90s was a big drop down. 2000s was actually a spike back up a little bit in quality, and then 2010s it's just gone downhill. Let's see reasons why. For example, 40s, 50s, Frank Sinatra recorded with an entire orchestra with one microphone, so everything had to be perfect all around to get all the instruments and the voice into that one microphone. Whereas now you can cheat, right? Auto-tune being invented in 1998. Quantizing tools like Beat Detective make drum parts sound like machines. Session musicians were replaced by quantized, I don't know that word, quantized generic rock music due to budget cuts. Labels stopped signing resource-intensive rock bands, preferring artists who could produce with music with a laptop and a microphone. Right. Over-reliance on technology, things like that. And then also, music is too easy to consume. Streaming platforms. In 2003, 100,000 new songs were added daily to streaming platforms. Whereas in my day, back 60s, 70s, 80s, when you bought a record or a CD, it was a big deal. Now you just have this stuff all over the place. So anyway, I want to see, the experiment is I want to see if the music itself is of a quality to elicit an emotional response, or is it the time in which you hear the music? So if you're a man under 35, if you're an old guy, now if you are an old man like me, or if you heard the song, you can do this if you want, and you can report your fun, but tell me that you're over 35, you heard the song before. That's not really who I'm going to. I'm going after young guys who have no context for that song. And I could have picked 6 or 7 other songs. That's just one I know is very emotionally resonant. Another big one is Van Halen Dreams. But see, most of you probably heard that one. So anyway. All right, so just a few questions. We'll get to our topic. Do I have FBs in Dubai? Yes, of course I do. If so, how did you make that work in Dubai's culture? Either you know nothing about Dubai's culture, or your perception of Dubai's culture is very old. Premarital sex is now allowed in Dubai under Dubai law as of November of 2021. What is your experience or opinion with Coffee Meets Bagel? Coffee Meets Bagel is similar to Match.com in that it works, but you're going to get a lot of over 33 provider hunters, more higher ASD women looking for boyfriends, serious boyfriends or husbands. Is it true that Airbnb has become a crapshoot when it comes to quality and consistency? I hear constant expats talk about horrible experiences. Is this mainly a problem in the Western world? I disagree. First of all, in all areas, you're going to hear complaints more loudly than compliments. If you're happy with your Airbnb, you're not going to have millions of people saying, I stayed at this Airbnb, it was amazing. You're not going to hear that as much as you can hear, I stayed at this Airbnb and they were assholes. So I don't believe this. No. Is it mainly a problem in the Western world? No. It's across the board, whatever people are experiencing. I think the quality of Airbnb has declined in the last 5 to 6, 7, 8 years. Yes, I believe that's true. I don't think it's horrible, though. How aware of your non-sugar baby FBs? How aware of your non-sugar baby FBs aware of your wealth level? It depends. Let's see. That's a complicated question because a lot of my FBs have been around for a long time. The ones that have been around a long time have an idea. Although, again, I live in a little tiny one-bedroom apartment. I have no car. So for years, they didn't know, and eventually they started finding things out. So most of them knew nothing or very little for years. Over time, they learned a few things. Did my first OLTR talk. My MLTR talk went well. No complaints or crying. Cool. This time she cried a little bit and came back the other day to discuss conditions. then she said she wouldn't talk about it again. I think you're mixing up the talk with the OLTR talk. Because usually the OLTR talk does not cause that problem. So you're asking me, do I think it's typical? No, it's not typical. I think you mix up the talks. You're not, on the OLTR talk, you're not dropping any bombs on her that she wasn't aware of to begin with. Whereas the talk, which is not the MLTR, it's called the talk, you're dropping all kinds of bombs on her. So I think you're mixing up the talks. What is the maximum frequency I have to see my FBs worldwide to keep them in my rotation? There's no set number. Depends on her age, depends on her culture, depends on you, depends on how much she likes you, depends if money's involved or not. Anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. I refused to answer my pre-talk MLTR's questions about other women, but she asked if I would wear condoms with other women. Can I agree to that at least? That's up to you. An MLTR has no right to make any demands of you. So that's up to you. If it's something you would do anyway, sure. If it's not, then no. An MLTR has no right to make any demands on your behavior. In preparations for Paraguay in 2 weeks, I'm setting my location to Asuncion. I'm matching with almost every girl and getting many WhatsApp numbers, but almost none keep the conversation going. Why? Because they're women. That's very typical. And I don't know what you're saying. I don't know if you're turning these women off or scaring them or spiking AST. I don't know what you're doing. You're saying something. What would you say to upgrade FBs and downgrade MLTRs? Go to my blog, alphamail20.com/blog. Go there. I have an entire article about how to upgrade or downgrade. All right, a few more questions. We'll get to our very, very important topic. Hormozy says to save money for 3 years and make $100,000 to invest. Tate says spend because you can't save your way to wealth. Who is more correct? Well, they're both extremists. Even I don't say save for 3 years. So even I don't say that. And Tate is saying don't save anything. So Tate is wrong. You have to have some emergency fund, and then once you have a set emergency fund, then you invest. Grant Cardone says this too. Cash is trash. Well, as soon as the pandemic hit, he laid off 140 employees. The split second it hit, he fired 140 people. Why? Because he has no emergency fund. He freaked the fuck out and fired a lot of people who probably didn't need to be fired. So horrible things happen, you don't have an emergency fund. So Tate is wrong. Hormozy is a little extreme. I don't think you need $100,000 in your emergency savings account unless you make a lot of money. If you make a lot of money, yeah. Now, again, Alex Hormozy, I've said this 10,000 times. Alex Hormozy is awesome, and I love him. He's not giving advice for people like you. He's not giving advice to normal people. He's giving advice more to people like me, who already make 7 figures and are workaholics and want to make gazillions of dollars. He's talking to that segment of the population. I know it feels like he's talking to everybody, but he's not. He's talking to a fraction of 1% of the market, which is fine, but just people forget this. You could almost make that argument with Andrew Tate. No, you can't make that argument with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's a very different business model. So, could a man under age 35 get FBs in Dubai? Of course you can, but the dating market is more difficult there. Have you watched Rick Beato's videos on why music is bad? Yeah. Yes, he's one of the guys I've watched. Yep. Yes, correct. Rick Beato, yeah. He's one of them. There's another guy, I don't remember names. There's a few guys I've watched. Because music is awful. So when I was in Dubai with Pink Firefly, we'll get to our topic. When Pink Firefly had a car there, and she would drive the car and listen to top 40 music on the radio, was in the car. That music is awful. And I'm not being like an old man, because occasionally there's a good song. I mentioned there was a good song a few weeks ago I think on this live stream. I mentioned there was a really good song I heard. Donald Glover. It was that guy who was in the Star Wars movie, the Han Solo movie. I mentioned a song I liked that was really good. But the reason I liked it is because it's so rare. The quality of top 40 music, pop music in the 2000s was actually pretty good. Lady Gaga's original music was pretty good. Not my kind of music. I like metal. I like Judas Priest and Ozzy and those kind of things. But quantitatively, was pretty good. And the 80s was amazing. 70s was amazing. 60s was amazing. 50s was just, they were trying to figure it out, right? And as soon as you hit the 90s, you had the right stuff. Okay. And boy bands and, you know, corporatizing of music. And that's when, as usual, both the economic and cultural collapse began in the 90s. All right. Let's talk about our topic, shall we? Let's do that. So, I have said this many times, and I will continue to say this, and this is something that is often forgotten in the modern aesthetic of right-wingish stuff and red pillish stuff and anti-woke stuff and things like that. And that is that the greatest threat to you as the man, as a modern day man, the number one greatest threat to the modern day man, you included, yes, you listening to me right now, the greatest threat that exists out there in the world is not what you think it is. It is not Western collapse. It's not the elites. It's not feminism. It's not wokeism. It's not Joe Biden. Or if you're a left winger, it's not Donald Trump. It's not Republicans. It's not rich people. It's not women, you red pill or black pill guys. It's not women. It's none of these things. It's not AI coming to take your job. It's not immigrants. These are not the biggest threat. I'm not saying these things are not, could possibly be threats. I'm not saying that. I'm saying these are not the biggest threats, not even close. The number one biggest threat that you have as a man in the modern era is oneitis. If you don't know what oneitis means, oneitis is that thing where you get obsessed about one girl. This could be a girl that you are dating. This could be your girlfriend. This could be your wife. This could be a girl that you want, you've never had sex with, who doesn't like you, that you want really badly. There's different types of oneitis. In my books, I cover the 3 different types of oneitis. I'm not going to cover that in this live stream today. But the point is, when you obsess and want one girl, often it is a woman who's dumped you and now has a new boyfriend, and you feel like shit, and you get depressed and you cry and you send pictures of her, you're texting her all the time saying, I want you back, and you're showing up at her house and you're buying her shit and you're sending pictures of you crying. These are things, real things men have done, and you're begging her for it to come back and please, oh my God. But that's not the only form of oneitis. It could be this one girl that you're obsessing over, like at your work, or this girl you know, or if you're a complete hopeless pussy, it could be some Instagram model, or God forbid, someone you're talking to on OnlyFans. And if you realize you dumb fucks, you're not talking to her, you're talking to some gay guy she hired in Germany acting like her. Okay? It could be that. It could be someone you are with. It could be your wife. There are lots of beta males, there are many of you in this category right now. I know you guys. You have a wife, you're a girlfriend, and you worship the ground. Even if she's a bitch to you, even if she's a nightmare from hell, you do whatever she says. You worship the ground she walks on because you don't want her to leave. Oh my God, she can't leave. I'll kill myself if she leaves. No one is as good as her. No one is hot as her. No one is as good as mother as her. No one this, no one that, no one this. This is all oneitis. Men have ruined their careers because of oneitis, including extremely powerful, strong alpha males. I've talked about many of these men on my blogs. Examples of hardcore alpha male guys, successful, strong, who got destroyed because they got oneitis for one girl. Men have ruined their careers. Men have destroyed their entire financial lives. Men have gone into bankruptcy because of oneitis. Men have lost their lives because of oneitis, not just now, but throughout all of human history. Men have fucked up their kids because of oneitis. Men have destroyed their lives irreparably. I didn't go to college. Irreparably, which means they'll never get over it. I know a lot of older men who got divorced older, like in their 50s, 60s, 70s, including my own father, who got divorced in his 70s. Okay. I know, but he's not the only one. I work with a lot of guys. I work with a lot of older, higher income men in my consulting practice. I know a lot of men, and they will never recover because of oneitis, because of an over focus on one woman. I would roughly estimate that of all the people listening to the sound of my voice, either now or the recorded version on the podcast or the YouTube or Facebook recordings, I would roughly estimate that 30 to 40% of you are experiencing some sort of oneitis right now. And it could be way more than 40%. That's a rough guess on my part. It could be way more than this. It's bad. Is oneitis the main cause of men murder, suicide in their families? Often, yes. Men have gone to, I didn't mention that, men have gone to prison because of oneitis. They've gone to jail, prison. Men have committed crimes for oneitis. Men have murdered for oneitis. And men have offed themselves for oneitis. Yes. Name anything else that damages men this way, that damages all these different areas of your life. Most threats of your life are a threat to one area. Like most of the threats you see in your life are a threat to like your financial life, but they're not a threat to your relationship life, or they're a threat to your relationship life, but they're not a threat to your financial life. Oneitis is a threat to your entire life, all 7 of your SLA, your 7 life areas, which are, if you didn't know, your physical life. Men have destroyed their health, gained weight, ruined their health because of oneitis. Your financial life, your woman life, obviously, your social life. Men have lost friendships permanently because of oneitis. Your family life, men have destroyed their families because of oneitis. Your spiritual life, men have completely fucked that up because of oneitis. I've seen that many times. And your recreational life, men have fucked that up too. Oneitis threatens all 7 of these things. It destroys all 7. Very few threats in life threaten all 7 of these things. And the problem is that this is how men are wired. Men are wired biologically to over-obsess to one woman. You are wired this way, unfortunately. And we can talk about, I've already talked about this in my books, about 100,000 years, 150,000 years ago, when we were cavemen, it was helpful to be wired this way to protect blah, 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 blah. When women were scarce resources, now they're not. I mean, I've talked about this in my books. 150,000 years ago, when you were a caveman in a tribe of like 22 people, you're a tribe of 22 people, and there's maybe 3, 4 girls of sexable age in the entire tribe. And if you were lucky, you got one of them. If you weren't, you didn't get any. So you're wired in with this thing of women are scarce, or attractive women are scarce. Young, hot girls are scarce. There are more women today than there are men. And women don't need you to give them any money or buy them anything or marry them in order to have sex with them, right? Okay, so this is all out-of-date thinking. But the problem is your brain doesn't know this. And so you are, unfortunately, wired to get completely needy and completely obsessed with one girl, especially if you are an alpha male 1.0. Let me talk about that really quick. I have mentioned this many times. People are very confused when I say this, but it's the truth. Alpha male 1.0s, so hardcore red pill guys, pickup artists, famous celebrities and actors. You've seen this 10,000 times. Hardcore alpha males get oneitis harder than beta males do. What? Yes. The reason for that is the beta male always has oneitis. If you're a beta, you've had oneitis 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you're almost in a constant state of oneitis. Beta males understand the feeling of oneitis because that's how they felt since they were in 5th grade. Lusting for the girl, across the way, right? Beta males are accustomed to oneitis. The alpha male 1.0 is not. So he goes out and bangs a bunch of girls, and then one girl comes along who, say it with me, I almost trademarked this phrase. I put TM at the end as a joke. When one girl comes along who is, quote, not like the rest. Caleb, you don't understand. She's not like the rest. Caleb, you don't understand. I've had sex with 42 girls. Big deal. I've had sex with 42 girls, Caleb, and she's not like any of them. You don't understand, Caleb. She's not like the rest. And then you get oneitis. And alpha males get hardcore oneitis. I could list names of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys from the PUA red pill worlds that most of you know names of, that I'm not going to say their names, who got wiped out by one of they were alpha males, badass, banged a lot of girls, dated a lot of girls. One girl came along, was not like the rest, destroyed their lives. And I can name several men, I'm not going to, who are now in my age range, 40s, 50s, who still haven't gotten over it. I just saw one on a podcast. I'm not going to say his name because I like him as a person, but my God, was painful to watch. He was describing his current relationship, and this is a alpha male, sort of very woman experienced guy, big name guy. I'm not going to say his name. And it was just, I cringed because of the oneitis this guy has for this. Anyway, you can't ever get oneitis, period. What do you mean never? I, Caleb Jones, have not experienced the emotion of oneitis in over 25 years. What? Yes, it can be done. And I am married to Pink Firefly, and I love her more than I've ever loved a woman. I have a spiritual connection with this woman. This is the deepest love I've ever felt for a woman in my entire life. I've been with her last week. It's been so exciting being with her. Oh my God. It's hard to put into words how much I love this woman. I don't have oneitis, which means she gives me any bullshit. She's out of my house in 48 hours. I've said this 10,000 times, and she knows it. She's out of my house in 10,000 or whatever. We live separately now. Complicated. I'll explain in October what we're doing. But this has always been the case. No matter how much I love someone, no matter how much I think she's amazing, no matter how hot she is, no matter how much she's different from the rest, because Pink Firefly in many ways is not like the rest. Doesn't matter. Anyone I'm dating, anyone I live with, anyone I'm married, even if she's the mother of my children. You give me drama, not once, but it's a pattern of behavior, you're out of my house within 48 hours. And I won't like it, but I'll do it. Most of you can't do that. Most of you alpha male 1.0s can't do that when you have oneitis. Most men can't do this. You've seen the statistics. 70 to 80% of all divorces are filed by the female. 3/4 of all girlfriend-boyfriend relationships are terminated by the woman. And one of you asked where I got those statistics, or the second statistic, it's in my new Unchained Man book. I have the source there. Okay? This is why men get oneitis. Men turn into pussies. You can't do this. If you reorient your brain a little bit and reorient your lifestyle, you won't get oneitis. I never get oneitis. Even when a perfect 10 woman comes along into my life and is perfect every way, which has happened several times, more than once. Pink Firefly's one. I don't mean literally perfect, but you know what I'm saying. Perfect for you. Even if I get really hardcore NRE, new relationship energy, fall in love, I don't get oneitis. I am more important, and my life is more important than any woman I'm with. You guys can't say that. Most of you. Most of you can't leave. Right? Right. And that's why. It's pretty pathetic how some guys talk about their wives. Yeah. It's not about how they talk. It's about not how they talk and what they do. Here's the celebrity example, Will Smith. Will Smith, I used to consider 15 years ago a hero for many reasons. Talk about it in my blogs all the time. He has oneitis for a woman who is a shrew from hell. And he's got like dysfunctional oneitis. But he's not an exception to the rule. He's typical. Will Smith could bang any girl on earth he wants. And he stays with someone who is, you want to talk about toxic? That's just one example. Let's not talk about Will Smith. I gave you 10,000 celebrity examples. And examples from Red Pill. Names you would know. Some guys you like. Names from PUA, pickup artists. Some guys you know. Some guys, Jesus Christ. People, men from politics. Right-wing politics included. I'm not mentioning names. Who have destroyed themselves because of oneitis. All right. So I'm going to give you the techniques now on how to avoid oneitis or help cure it if you have it. So these are both preventative and prescriptive. They're both. They work both ways. And these are all things I do. I walk my talk. Okay. There's an old article I wrote in my blogs years ago called 9 Steps to Avoid Neediness and Oneitis. I'm going to use that as a baseline. I'm going to talk more of an updated version of that. But you can go on my blog and read that article. One of the biggest articles written about this. Of course, I talk a lot about this in my books. Okay. So I'm going to cover those things plus some other things. First thing, number 1, realize that this is not her. This is you. So the best way I heard this described was people think that emotions are beamed into you from other people. So someone walks the room and they laser eyes anger into you, and now you feel anger because they made you mad. People say this all the time. You make me so mad. Have you ever heard someone say, you make me nice? You make me friendly? You ever heard this? No. So if I feel a positive emotion, it's me. If I feel a negative emotion, it's not me, it's you. You did that. Wrong. All emotions come from inside you, you dumb motherfucker. Anger and Oneitis. All the positive and negative, they come from inside you. So the fact you have Oneitis is not her, it's you. You are doing this to yourself. It's not because she's so different and she's so hot and she's so smart and our chemistry's so good and Kilby don't understand. I've been with 32 girls and she's the best. No, this is you. This is all you, which means you have control over these things. Number two, our second piece to this, all relationships are temporary. I've said this 10,000 times, and people don't like when I say this. With rare exception, all relationships are temporary. She's not going to be in your life forever, assuming she is in your life. This is if you're like dating someone and you have Oneitis for her. You're not dating her at all. You want her. She won't be around forever either. This is temporary. Why are you focusing this so much on something that's so temporary? The things that have my focus are my businesses, my mission, things that I know will stick around with me for the rest of my life. My businesses that I'm growing now, I'm scaling now, my finances I'm scaling now, my 5 flag structures that I'm mostly finished with, except for a few things. These are things that are going to stick with me for the rest of my life, no matter what happens. Will Pink Firefly stick with me for the rest of my life, no matter what happens? I hope so. I want that. Do I know for sure? No, I don't know that. She's a girl. Could, but maybe not. Don't forget this. This is why OLTRs, no co-owning any assets with a woman. A lot of you bring up wealthy expat, who I think is a nice guy. I think he's a good guy. Like him a lot. What happened to wealthy expat in Dubai, where his wife, he went into business with his wife. Okay, broke rule number 1 there. You don't go into finance. You don't go into business or anything financial with someone you're dating. Okay, and had all kinds of problems in Dubai because of it. Right? You can go watch his own videos. I don't want to relay his story. You don't do that. OLTR, Pink Firefly have completely separate finances. The reason she's working right now is because I mandate that. This is not an Alpha 2.0 thing. This is a Caleb thing. If you're in a serious relationship with me, you need your own income. I'm not going to be your sugar daddy. You will benefit financially from being with me. I'm a high income guy. But you have to have your own job. You have to have your own income or your own business or something. So she has her own income. Good. That's how it should be. Plus, that's what women say they want to know. I want to work like a man. All right, bitch, get to work. Good. I like feminism. Second wave feminism. Not today's feminism. So that too. Other part of this is you think she's not like the rest, so there's no one else like her. Do you know how many women there are on the planet Earth? There's almost 8 billion people on planet Earth, right? 8 billion, right? Isn't that right? So it's 4 billion women on Earth. Now, some guys will nitpick. Well, you don't have access to all 4 billion women. You can't fly to every part of the... Okay, fine. I've said this many times. Take your city, the entire metro area. I do this when I do live seminars. Take your metro area of your city. Let's say you live in Chicago. Okay, it's 8 million people. Divide that by 2, that's 4 million people. Okay, let's say that 90% of those women, I'm being very generous when I say 90%. Let's say 90% of those women you would never have sex with because they're too old, too young, too married, or too fat. Okay? So 1/4 of that is 400,000 women. 400,000 women. 400,000 women within a 45, 50-minute driving radius of your home that you would have sex with. You're telling me that out of the 400,000 or 100,000 or 50,000 or 500,000 women, you can't find anyone better than one you have right now, the one you're all obsessed with now? Wrong. You're being irrational. You're being stupid. Okay? You've got to get objective about this stuff. If Pink Firefly got hit by a bus tomorrow and died, God forbid, okay, if she did that, so does that mean I will never find anyone for the rest of my life? I'm 50. I'll live another 50 years. Probably no problem. Okay, certainly another 30 years of active life. Me. The next 30 years, I'm not going to find anyone as good as her. Really? 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 Come on. Let's be. I know it's not romantic, but it's the reality. Okay? Doesn't mean I don't love her. I do. She's amazing. I've been so happy. I'm always happy, but it's been so good being with her. Last night, she's hot. She's been more physically fit than she was in Dubai. She's just been killing it lately. She's great. All right. Next thing. This is all chemicals in your brain. These are a little squirt of chemicals in your brain. This isn't love or lust or soulmate shit. This is a few squirts of chemicals in the brain. The emotion of love is a chemical in the brain, nature designed for you to stick around long enough so the babies will survive. That's the only reason you, quote, fall in love. I know this is not romantic, but this is reality. I'm objective and rational. When you're objective and rational, when you love someone, or in Oneitis' case, you obsess over someone, the only reason you're doing that is nature has wired that into your head to make sure that if you hook up with her and have kids, you'll stick around at least 2 or 3 years for those kids to survive. That's why the timer on most monogamy is around 3 years. Just enough time for the kid to start walking and doing their own shit, and then you leave the cave and go bang someone else. Okay? This is not anything real other than a few squirts, a syringe. I do TRT, so I have these little insulin syringes. I have a YouTube video on how I do this. It's like that. It's just a little squirt of liquid in your brain. That's all this is. Oh, I can't think about her. Oh, I hope she's going to leave. All that shit is a few squirts of chemicals in your brain that you can remove. And it'll make you a lot happier if they aren't there. Now, let me qualify this real quick. I'm not saying that love is bad. I just told you how much I love my wife. I have some other women in life I care for deeply. Okay? I'm not saying you don't experience love. You could have love without oneitis. I don't have oneitis. So I can love someone. That's the final level in the Alpha Male 2.0 video game. The final level of the Alpha Male 2.0 evolution in terms of you being with women is to totally be in love with a woman and have zero oneitis. You are totally 100% devoted in love with her, but if there's a pattern of behavior or shit she gives you and she doesn't fucking stop, you kick her out of your house in 48 hours and you don't like it, but you do it. You have the balls to do it, which most men can't do. By the way, women can. Women are very good at kicking men out, aren't they? Men can't. Men are pussies. Next one. One of the reasons you have oneitis is that you don't have a lot of meaning in your life. Now, is it possible to have meaning in your life and still get oneitis? Yes, but it's harder. Most guys that get oneitis are guys who just go to work, come home, jerk off, watch porn, watch some Netflix, smoke some weed, go to bed. And that's their whole life. Well, yeah, man, if that's your whole life, if that's the bulk of your life, of course, if some really amazing woman comes in your life, you're going to get oneitis for her. Does that describe my life? Do you know how exciting and full of meaning my life is? Do you have any idea? My mission, my work, my travel, my family, my women, my physical health, my long-term objectives. I have the fullest life and the most meaning of life. I have a mission that drives me forward. It's very hard for a woman to come into my life and compete with that because my life is so big and so important, irrelevant of women. Irrelevant of women. Irrelevant of women. You've got to find greater purpose and meaning in life other than I got to pay the bills, or I got to impress my dad, or I want to go to college because I have a bunch of SP I haven't cleaned out yet, or I need to defeat the woke left. These are not meanings. Greater meaning. When you have greater meaning, very difficult for a woman to come along and, toss her hair and bounce up and down a little bit and you go, oh my God, it's harder. I didn't say it's impossible, but it's a lot harder. And I'm not talking here about sexual attraction. I made a joke just now, but I'm a very high sex drive guy. I'm a high testosterone guy. I think about sex a lot, even though I have it a lot. That's okay. As long as you manage it correctly, different topic another time. I'm talking about oneitis. Okay. Also, I mentioned this. Once you have sex with a bunch of really hot, like 10s, beauty doesn't affect you anymore. Andrew Tate's talked about this, where Andrew Tate's mentioned, I think he was talking about this, I think it was him, where you're like, oh my God, she's so hot. You don't understand, this girl is so hot. If that's what you're saying about any one woman, you haven't been with enough women. Because the fact you haven't been with a lot of hot girls means that one hot girl cannot control you. If you've been with a bunch of hot girls, no hot girl you ever say, oh my God, she's so hot. I don't ever have that reaction because I've been with a lot of them. I can still acknowledge if a really hot girl walks by, I'm like, Okay, that looks good. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, she's so hot. Oneitis works the same way. Next one. This is a very big topic. Find a mission. I'm not going to go into detail about that. You can read my book, The Unchained Man, where I have detailed instructions on how to find a life mission. This goes back to meaning. Men with missions tend to get oneitis less than men who don't have any missions. The vast majority of you do not have a mission. One thing, if you're under the age of 30, you don't need a mission yet, but you do need long-term goals. If you're 30 or over, you need a mission. Sorry. No excuses. You got to do this. And it might take you 6 months. Do it. Again, the more meaning you have, the harder it is for any one woman to come along and say, oh my God, she's so amazing. I'm telling you, most guys I see with oneitis don't have very exciting lives and don't have a lot of meaning in their lives, including men who are wealthy. There are men who are wealthy or inherited their money or, they made a bunch of money, now they're not working, they have nothing going on, and then they get oneitis. I know a lot of men like this. So it doesn't mean you're poor. It means you have nothing going on. If I made 1/10 of my income, my life would be just as active, as just as full of meaning. If I made 10x what I currently make, that'd be a lot of money. But if I made that, I promise you, my life would be just as busy and just as full of meaning. Next one. You must have a project. That's a fancy way of saying goals. What is your project? One of the best things I heard of on the internet was a man should always have a project. And a man was talking to an old man, like a mentor, or he met a guy, and the man said to the younger man, great, what's your project? And the younger man said, huh? What's your project? What are you working on? Men in particular need to be working on something. Now, Alpha Male 2.0, you have your financial life and your woman life, the two foundations of your life of long-term happiness. If you're over the age of 35, you have another one, physical life, okay? So your project should be one of those, unless you're already perfect wherever you are. What are you working on? What are you working on tomorrow? What are you working on today? To-do lists, goals, weekly plans, all of which I talk about in other places. It's harder when you have a full schedule because you're working on shit for you to get oneitis because you have so much else going on. You have a direction in life. Most guys that get oneitis have no direction. They're not working on anything. And just because you have a job does not, by the way, let me tell you what a project isn't. A project isn't your job. A project isn't you going to college. A project isn't you supporting your mom. These are not projects, okay? Being a good dad, that's not a project. These are consistent conditions. These are not projects. Project is something you're working on when it's done. Then you work on the next project, then the next, then the next, then the next. Men die when they run out of projects. I love this statistic, and this is still true even though it's morphed today. Back in the days where IBM was a big company, a big deal, the average retired lifespan of the average retired IBM executive was 4 years, irrelevant of the age at which the executive retired. So if he retired at 58, if he retired at 67, if he retired at 75, it didn't matter. Within 4 years, he'd be dead. Why? Because his whole life was IBM, because it kind of takes over your life. You retire, you got nothing to do. So you're an old man. All you do is you fucking walk your dog once a day and read the newspaper back then. And what the fuck you do? You don't do anything. And then you die. We are creatures of work, men. Women are different. We are creatures of work. Project. What are you working on? And ideally, your project should be tied to your mission and your greater purpose. You know how many fucking projects I have going right now? Too many. Well, I should actually reduce the number of projects, and I should. But I got a lot of shit I'm working on. Like I said, I'm very full. Next one. This is a big one. This will not prevent it, but it will help. And this is an Alpha Male 2.0 baseline, so this falls right in line with Alpha Male 2.0. Exercise really hard, at least once every 48 hours. That's it. It doesn't matter what the exercise is. I'm not a fitness guru. Don't ask me fitness questions. Obviously, I'm overweight. But I have a lot of energy. I'm very healthy. I don't get oneitis. Exercise hard. Now, hard means you're sweating. And you can't talk because your cardio is so hard, or you're lifting weights, and you lifted heavy. I don't care if it's cardio. I don't care what kind of cardio. I don't care if it's lifting weights. I don't care if it's body weight. I don't give a fuck. Guys get really worked up about what to do, what not to do. Stupid. It's all good. Exercise hard once every 48 hours. you don't exercise, your entire hormonal system is geared more toward neediness and emotional reactivity, which is why people are so reactive and pissed off right now. No one's fucking exercising. I know it feels like everyone is exercising. You go on Instagram and everyone looks like Dan Bilzerian. Those are the rare exceptions. People are not exercising. They are in Dubai where I live, okay, but in the Western world, they're not exercising. They're smoking a lot of weed and sitting around, okay? Exercise hard at least once every 48 hours. I do this, even when I'm traveling. Even when it's a pain in the ass. When I've been traveling lately, it's been a huge pain in the ass, but I do it. Number 7. Don't let too much time go without sex. This is a big one for many of you. I've written articles about Gen Z and millennials not getting laid. I'm talking to you guys, you younger guys, and some of you older guys. Some of you older guys too. Most of you older guys, I've talked about this, are getting laid. Good for you. Most of you Gen X guys, doing well. A lot of you baby boomers, you older fuckers, you're not getting laid. Don't ever let too much time go without having sex. Well, Caleb, how long? My general rule of thumb for when I advise people, 6 weeks. If you go 6, that's bullshit, just 6 weeks? Dumbass. If you go 6 weeks without having sex, you're now in a danger zone. Compare 2 men, 2 alpha male put together guys, okay? Good, cool guys, okay? Healthy, working, okay. 2 guys, they're identical. One guy is like me. He has sex 3 times a week with multiple women, all of whom are really hot. This guy hasn't had sex in 3 months. Who's more likely to get oneitis for someone? I mean, it's obvious, right? There you go. Get laid. Now, am I saying you need to have sex 3 times a week like me? No, you don't need to do that. This is a very different, separate conversation. Hang on, I need a drink. Every man, I've said this in my seminars, in my books, every man has a sexual minimum. It's different for every man. There's no right or wrong answer to this. Some men need it twice a week. Some men are fine once a week. Some men are fine 2 or 3 times a month. Some men are, legitimately they are. Now, some men have sex once or twice a month and they say that's okay and it's not. And they're lying to themselves. You gotta be honest with yourself. Some maniacs need it every day. I'm not like that. I need at least twice a week for happiness. For me, you may be different. You need to figure out and identify this as yourself. What is the minimum amount of time I need? And be realistic. Don't say, well, once a month's okay, I guess. No. Be realistic. Be honest with yourself. No one's going to know this, just you. Get your minimum frequency down and then make sure it happens. I'm talking about this. This is Alpha Male 2.0, FBs, MLTRs, OLTR, first dates, second dates, third dates, Black Dragon dating system, online dating, referral game. You have all the resources to do this. No excuses. Okay. If you have more money, sugar daddy. If you have more money. Okay. I don't recommend hookers, but if you want to do that, I guess you can. I wouldn't. That's also not good for oneitis. I guess I should address that too. Really quick on the hooker thing. If you can't get laid without paying for it, that's a problem you need to fix. You don't just keep paying for hookers. I have seen many men get oneitis for hookers. Yes. I don't mean sugar babies. Caleb, what's the difference? The difference is, I've said this many times, hookers are required to fuck you. So when you hire a hooker, she comes over and she has sex with you. She can't walk in and say, ooh, you're ugly, no thanks, and leave. She's not allowed to do that. She has to fuck you. I've known hookers. They have to fuck like 400-pound guys. They have to fuck old men who are drooling in wheelchairs. They have to do it. Sugar babies are very picky. If they don't like how you look, they will not fuck you. They'll go anywhere near you. So some game is required for sugar babies. Okay, I'm talking about hookers here. I know guys who get oneitis for sugar babies. I mean, hookers. They like get oneitis for women they're paying to fuck. If you need to pay for it to get laid, that is a problem you need to fix. Fix it. Don't just keep paying for hookers the rest of your life. That is the most beta male thing you can possibly do. Okay? Talk about oneitis. All right. Let's see here. What's the next thing? Number 8 on our big list. This should be obvious, but this is not what men do. Alpha Male 2.0 is about non-monogamy. Monogamy will not make you happy long term. Short term, yes. Yes. If you meet some amazing woman and get monogamous with her, you'll be happy for a few months. Forever, 57 years? No. You'll be miserable. When she dumps you, you'll be miserable. When she does back off of the sex, you'll be miserable. All this stuff. Okay. You must stay non-monogamous the rest of your life, no matter what happens. Monogamy is a system that drives oneitis. Monogamy is an engine for oneitis. When you become monogamous to someone, you're only having sex with her, the odds of you getting oneitis skyrocket into the stratosphere because she's your only source of sex and your only source of feminine energy, both of which are things we men need on a regular basis. When you always have 2 or more women in your life, the odds of this go way down. They don't go to 0, but they go way down. One of the many reasons I don't get not monogamous. One of the reasons I don't get oneitis is I've been non-monogamous consistently, without exception, not once, for 17 years. And I will continue to be non-monogamous for the rest of my life. I've been non-monogamous through years where guys have said to me, I had haters, oh, Caleb will get monogamous someday. Just watch everybody. He will. He talks tough. I have a guy said that 10 years ago. Still here. Always, always have at least 2 or more women you're working with. Yes, you can have a hierarchy. Yes, you can have an OLTR and FBs. That's what I've got. That's fine. But you never, ever go where there's just one girl. Because then, basically, I set my watch to when you're going to get oneitis for her. And when, not if, statistically, when she puts her little foot down, starts making ultimatums, I'm going to leave you unless you do this. You go, okay. No matter how alpha you think you are. Okay? This also applies if you're single. So if you're single and you're going after new women, you go after many, many, many women. You don't go after these 3 you like or this one you like. Most guys are single and there's one girl they like. That's oneitis. Many, many, many women, multiples. Okay? When you're dating, you have several FBs, several MLTRs. If you're married, you have an OLTR and FBs on the side. Always multiple women. Doesn't matter if you're single, casual, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. God dang, even if you're totally single and you have like an FB sugar baby, not a hooker, okay, a sugar baby FB who likes you, you should have 2, not 1. That's monogamy. Well, it's okay because she's a sugar baby. No, it's not. I see guys get oneitis for sugar babies too. Stupid. Stupid. And you notice all this stuff is in your control. It's in your power, right? In my notes here, I have in capital letters, the minute, and I mean the minute, you start focusing your seduction, dating, or relationship efforts or thoughts on just one woman, 50% of the battle is immediately lost. Right. Because now you just open the doors wide open for oneitis to come right in. And once oneitis is in there, it's hard to get rid of, isn't it, guys? It's hard to just say, okay, I won't have oneitis anymore. Ideally, you want to prevent it from never happening in the first place. Once you've got it, it's hard to get out. Right? Number 9. This applies to some of you. Most of you don't have this problem, but a lot of you do. There's a segment of the audience that has this problem. You do not want to fall into the average-looking woman habit or the ugly woman habit. So here's what I'm talking about. I've mentioned this many times before. I don't do the 1 to 10 system in terms of how hot women are, because that's purely subjective. My 7 looks very different than your 7. Your 7 looks very different than your brother's 7. It's not objective, it's subjective. So instead I use a 4-level system: ugly, average, cute, hot. Okay? If 100% of the women you're having sex with or have had sex with in your life, or 95%, were ugly or average to you, not to me, to you, by your own admission. I know a lot of guys like this. They're players. They have strong game, but all the girls are ugly. I've met a bunch of people like this. I knew one guy. It's this guy back when you could date on Craigslist. This guy would bang all these Craigslist Craigslist girls, and they were all ugly and fat by his own admission. I didn't call him that. He said it. And he banged like 150 fat, ugly girls. Okay. If you have a lot of sex with a lot of women who are average or ugly looking to you, what happens is this. One day, a girl who's actually cute comes along, and you have sex with her, and you go, oh my God, and you get instant oneitis. I've seen it happen. This is a inverse to what I said earlier about if you have sex with lots of pretty girls, you're fine. Does that mean you have to have sex with Instagram supermodels? No. Okay, you don't need to do that. If that's a big goal, great. What I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about, where all the women you're working with, having sex with, are all kind of, fugly, by your admission, not mine, by yours. Not good. I've said this many times. In 2007, when I got my divorce and I went into this world, I made a pact with myself when I knew nothing, when I was a divorced, out of shape, dorky looking, 10 years out of dating practice, beta male dad. I was 36 years old in my little one-bedroom apartment with no bed, a mattress in the corner. Okay. In February of 2007, I said, okay, I will only go on first dates with women who I think are at least an 8 or higher to me. That's if she's below 8, I will not go there. And with rare exception, I've stuck with that. Even back when I had no game, didn't know what I was doing. Why did I do that? I didn't want to get caught with getting used to being with average women. Because my first wife was not ugly. She was cute. She was cute when we got married, but we were married for 10 years, and eventually she became not cute. So I said, okay, I did that. Let's see if we can have sex with or date attractive women. You don't need to go to that extreme if you don't want to, but you get my point. If 50% are ugly to you and 50% are hot, great, fine. As long as there's some hot/cute girls in there somewhere. Okay. Excuse me. Scottsdale is very dry. So unlike Dubai, it's very, very dry here. You think Dubai is dry, it's not because it's on the ocean. Hey, I got to keep drinking. Damn. Last thing. In the PUA, how are we doing on time? We're doing okay. In the PUA days, pickup artist days, we had an acronym called GFTOW. And GFTOW stood for Go Fuck 10 More Women. So it's probably not OW. I'm getting the acronym wrong a little bit. You guys can correct me in the chat if you want. GF, go fuck 10 more women. Go fuck 10 new women. Go fuck 10. Anyway, go fuck 10 new women. So whenever a guy said, my girlfriend break up with me and I really want her back, what do I do? They would say, GFTO. Go fuck 10 new women. There's this girl at my work I really like, and I think she's really pretty, and I was thinking maybe, could you guys help me get this girl? And they would say, GFTO. Now, that's an exaggeration, but the concept is sound. When guys complain to me they have oneitis, I go through all these things quickly, everything I just talked about, and then I say as a tactical response, because you already have oneitis, go have sex with 2 or 3, not 10 if you want, but most guys go 10, there's no way I can fuck 10 girls, I'm not that good looking. Okay, 2 or 3 women who are hotter and ideally younger than the one you currently have oneitis for. And then guess what? What do you think is going to happen once you do that? Oneitis is probably going to go away. Not 100% of the time, but probably. GFTOW, go fuck 10 other women. So O stands for other. I thought it was new. Okay, great. That's fine. That's the answer. It really is that simple. My girlfriend broke up. Okay. How old's your girlfriend? She's 36. Okay. Go hook up with 2 girls who are under 36 and as hot or hotter than her. But they won't be as smart and they won't be as... I didn't say that. I didn't say perfect. I said hotter, as hot or hotter, and younger. When you do that, all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm good. I've seen this happen with guys. It's fine. Why do you think, if you didn't know this, so when I had my divorce a billion years ago in 2007, It took me about 3 months to get over my divorce. Emotionally, it took about 3 months. It took my ex-wife about 5 years. Now, there's a number of reasons for this, personality differences, things like that. But one of the biggest reasons was I started immediately getting laid. Like immediately, like within a few days. I already had people lined up. I've told the story. She didn't date for years. She didn't date for like 10 years. And she should have. Okay? You'll get over things faster if you get back out there. Now, here's the problem. What a lot of guys do is they have this thing about, well, she was so amazing and so perfect. So they mentally go after women who are uglier than she was or older than she was, just not as attractive as she was. And they do have sex with, and they go, it's not working. Is she hotter? No. Okay. Hotter and ideally younger. She doesn't have to be younger, but ideally. But that'll, you older guys, who you get divorced, you're 45, your wife is 43. You're like, oh, she left me. You go hook up with a 27-year-old, you're like, oh, okay, I'm good. As they say, ask me how I know. Even though I was a statistical anomaly. I divorced my ex-wife. She didn't divorce me. Anyway. Very simple, straightforward. I could go into much more detail. This is a very big topic. I could write an entire book about this, and maybe I should. I don't think I'm gonna, but I could, and maybe I should, but I won't. But this is the number one thing that you need to get handled as a man. So if you currently have Oneitis right now, I just told you what to do. Get to work. If you don't have Oneitis now, you probably will get it because you're not following all the models that I'm teaching. So get to work so it doesn't happen. I have not had Oneitis in 25 years. I can't remember the last time I experienced that emotion. There are certain negative emotions I've completely removed from my psyche. Loneliness, I've completely removed that emotion. I don't know what that would feel like. I haven't been lonely in 25 years. Probably 30 years. I haven't experienced this. What's the other one I can't experience? I've talked about this. Boredom. I don't know what boredom. The last time I remember feeling bored, I was probably 12 years old. I don't know what boredom would feel like. You know what stuff I got to do? Boredom. I can't even comprehend what that would feel like. So Oneitis, loneliness, boredom, I've eliminated those completely from my psychological profile. I don't experience these things. So you can do this. It takes a little time and effort. I had to work on it a little bit. Okay. All right. Should we ask? You guys see a lot of questions about this. That's very good. Hang on. I'm going to zoom in my screen because I can't see shit. Let's see here. Let's scroll back to the top of the questions here. I got to take another drink. Hang on. I needed like a giant straw that just stays in my mouth the whole time while I do these live streams. Okay, hang on here. Sammy Hagar could at least sing. David Lee Roth couldn't. Yeah, that's true. But Roth had like attitude. That was why they had him. But yeah, you're right. Do you keep your Paraguay FBs around, or do you have to start over every time you come back? I keep them around. I've had a harem of FBs down there, about 5 FBs since 2019, for years and years. I keep them around. 1 or 2 have left, but I can get new ones fast, but I don't need new ones. I don't need a lot of girls anymore. Do you use your OI technique, asking why for happiness as well? Why am I not happy? No, because I know. If you don't know why you're not happy, then yes. I don't have that problem. What you're talking about is depression. Depression is you're unhappy, don't know why. If you have that problem, sure. I don't have that problem. If I'm unhappy, I know exactly why I'm not happy, and I fix it fast. I'm not mixing the talks. That's why I was surprised. She was chill with the first talk, but the oil talk was more emotional for her. I found it a bit weird. Yeah, that's strange. Is she over 33? I don't know. How can I live abroad if I live on SSI? What is SSI? Social Security income. Okay. I only get $900 a month. You go somewhere cheap. Go to Paraguay. Bro, go to Cambodia. Go to Ecuador. That's what they do. Go to somewhere you live like a king on $900 a month. Go to somewhere cheap. If you live in the United States, Canada, Europe, you live in the most expensive countries in the world. Go somewhere cheap. How can you make sure you can bring girls to an Airbnb? You can. No one restricts that. I've never heard of anyone saying don't bring girls. I do. Does Dubai have a high SMB culture, make it difficult for someone who is just starting an Alpha 2.0 business? High SMB culture has nothing to do with Alpha 2.0 business. Alpha 2.0 business is location dependent. So if you start an Alpha 2.0 business, you would not be selling things to people in Dubai. Doesn't matter. Is the dating more difficult in Dubai or the States? Dubai. It's more difficult in Dubai because of the SMB culture there. Dubai is a place it's a high SMB place where women are expecting you to be of a certain SMB. Can you get laid in Dubai? Yes. Yes, you can. I've seen younger guys do it, but it's harder. You said never do one-night stands. You said you never do one-night stands, and that prevents buyer's remorse. You're mixing. I've said both these things, but you're mixing two things that are not one-night stand. So what you mean is same date lay. What you're saying is, I think you're saying, Caleb, you say you don't. Let's see. Hang on a second here. What you're saying is you don't have sex on the first date. Correct, I don't, and that prevents buyer's remorse. Yes. Have you been on a day 2 and found that she was less hot, naked, unshaven, or just bad in bed? No, I've never had that experience. How would you handle it the next day? I've never had the experience of it was great the first time and bad the second time. I've never had that experience. Why would that be really weird? Unless you were drunk. What's the minimum frequency you should see your MLTR? Minimum? There is no minimum. Roughly, I say once a month. That's a rough minimum. So 4 to 6 weeks. I'm out of town a lot, and she's going through some stuff, but she's usually busy anyway. If you're out of town a lot, more than a month, you need to be communicating with her over WhatsApp or text or video stuff. Is what I okay? I have a little Oneitis for the girl I lost my virginity to 2 years ago. You can't have a little Oneitis. It's binary. You have it or you don't. So you have it. Lost my virginity 2 years ago, even though I've been with more attractive women than here. Is that normal? It's definitely improved with time, though. Oh, I see what you're saying. Sure, that can be normal. Sure. When you say more attractive woman, 1 or 2, I think you need more. I'm betting it's not very many. Since PF doesn't like Paraguay, do you just not see each other for 4 months or however long you're in Paraguay? Correct. Doesn't that violate your OLTR rule that you can't do long distance with them? That is not an OLTR rule. You can have long distance OLTRs. I have one right now. You cannot have long distance MLTRs. You can have a long distance OLTR within certain parameters as long as it's not permanent and as long as some other things. So you can have, because you're already married or you're already together. With an MLTR, you're not together. You're dating. So it's a whole different dynamic. So you can have a long distance OLTR. I've been away for Pink Firefly for months at a time, many times. I am 90K in debt from a failed business and started another one that's successful, making 8K a year right now in profit. Cool. It's great. I hope it's location dependent. Does it count as Oneitis if you feel it but don't act on it? No. In my world, no, but that's still something to fix. And then you have to be objective about that you're not acting on it. I think you are acting on it. You're just not aware that you're acting on it. If you brought me in and I interviewed you for 2 hours with a clipboard, I have a feeling I'd find things you were doing because of your Oneitis. So it's still a problem. I have a live-in monogamous LTR girlfriend right now. Okay, that's a problem. We're in the process of breaking up. Good. And living separately. Good. However, she is okay with still seeing me and having sex. You need to start having sex with at least one woman on the side immediately. Can I turn her into an MLTR? Perhaps. If so, how? You just start seeing other women. And you say, by the way, I'm going to start seeing other women. But they won't be serious. If she goes, fuck you, then she's out. You just do it. I'm only in town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every week. Would it be better for me to have first dates at the house or go for the first date lay? I would not go with the first date lay. That's not a model that works as well. So I would schedule my first dates for Fridays and maybe early Saturdays. That's what I would do. You're talking about Coach Kyle. I am not, and I don't even know who that is. Do you need to verbalize to women that you won't tolerate drama, even if she never gives you any? Depends on where you are in the relationship phases. When you're in the OLTR or OLTR candidate phase, yes. When you're just at FB or MLTR, no. You don't verbalize that stuff. When you start getting serious, yes. Pink Firefly knows there's only one thing that will cause me to leave her, because I've said it many times: drama. That's it. I'll stick with her for any other problem. There's a lot of other problems she could do, right? Drama's the only one, so she knows because I verbalized it. But she's my OLTR wife. She's not some, FB. Can women get oneitis, and what does that mean? What does that make the man if she does? It is unusual for women to get oneitis, but they can. They talk about stage 5 clingers. Oneitis is not a typical standard for women like it is for men. So it's unusual, but it can happen. What does it make the man? It makes a man she likes. Hang on, need more water. Hang on. Wow. HBM, can't talk. It's too dry here. HBM, who was my girlfriend for many years before Pink Firefly, my non-monogamous girlfriend, had oneitis for me for at least 3 years after we broke up. And yes, we did see each other briefly, off and on. It's like FBs. Took her a long time. So, but she got over it. And women get over oneitis faster. But you don't normally get oneitis. Never plan on a woman getting oneitis for you. That's very rare. Happens. Caleb, I had the capital OLTR conversation last week, and the girl went for it hook, line, and sinker. She even jokes when she leaves my place that I'm going to bang other chicks. It's a good life. Alpha Male 2.0 works. Try it, and you'll be surprised. This stuff works, and it's not that hard. That's the amazing thing about Alpha Male 2.0. It's not that hard. You just got to do it. It's not that hard at all. It's a lot easier than other lifestyle models you see out there, right? So, yeah. Oneitis is the biggest problem guys have today in general. Yes, it is a cultural issue, sadly. Yes, I know the biggest problems I have in my own life were from oneitis. Correct. All correct. Martial arts is almost a 2.0 requirement, right? Almost. It isn't, but it's almost there. How do you choose the right one? Or doesn't it matter much? And would you simply prioritize logistics and choose one that is close and on a handy timetable? The second. It doesn't matter. You pick whatever one you like. The main thing is that you like it, so you'll do it. That's the main thing. If you don't like it, you won't do it, right? So that's the main thing. If I were to choose one now, it'd be Krav Maga. But that's because I like it and it's practical. But, it might be boring. Kung Fu looks really cool. It's not very effective. It looks pretty cool. So I might do that too. But it doesn't matter. And you know what? You'll see huge arguments online about martial arts. Guys get really worked up about that. Which one's better? And BJJ is better than this. And I have a big desire to be with younger women, but I feel like it's coming from a psychologically unhealthy mindset. Societal programming. False societal programming is what you're experiencing. Of making up for being rejected a lot in my late teens, early 20s. How can I go about pursuing and getting younger women without my emotional side corrupting it? Read my book, The Unchained Man, especially the first several chapters on how to clean out societal. This is all false societal programming. It's wrong and bad for older men to be with younger girls. It's wrong. No, it's not. It is biologically valid. You are wired to be attracted to women between the age of 16 and 23 because of ideal childbearing age. There's nothing wrong or immoral about it. Make sure it's legal. The only gotcha there, check ID, make sure it's legal where you live. That's the only big caveat. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with it as long as it's consensual. As long as it's consensual, here's the bottom line: younger women, much younger women, legal, check ID, and know what the age of consent is in your area. Okay, very important. 100% consensual, obviously. Don't use alcohol. I don't. You can't be her. You can't be in a position of authority. You can't be her boss, teacher, professor, coach. Okay? Once those three things are satisfied, you can beg all young girls you want. Totally moral. I had a long talk with my daughter about this. I was in Portland last week. We talked for like an hour on the morality of much older men and much younger women. She's really sensitive about this. And I talked about it. I said, yeah, well, they're in a position of authority. Right. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be in a position of authority. I've never been in a position of authority in any younger woman I've ever been with in my entire life Because I'm alpha male 2.0, I don't have employees. If I make 100K USD location dependent and move to Russia, do you think I will get laid like a rock star and start a harem? That's up to you. You could. You don't even need 100K. You don't need 100K to have a harem. You could. Sure. Now, these are Russian women. I suggest you read my article on why I don't marry Russian women. Outside of that, yes, you could if you wanted to. That's up to you. There's a girl I've been seeing for a couple months. It seems really into me. We've arranged to meet on Monday as I'm going away. Well, that's not good. Should I not message her in the meantime, or should I just wait for her to? No, you need to message her a lot. You have not started a relationship with her yet, so no, you need to message her. And you don't want to meet on Monday and then go away for 2 weeks. That's not going to work. Let's hypotheticals say that you are at a restaurant with your wife. I don't answer hypotheticals. I'll read your question. I may not answer it. I don't do fantasy hypotheticals. Let's hypothetically say that you are at a restaurant with your wife. You excuse yourself and go to the bathroom and spot a hot chick giving you some IOIs. How would you handle this situation? I would ignore it. I don't need more women. See how this doesn't work? I'm not the guy to ask. Most normal guys would go up and get our number, right? And if this was many years ago, I might do that. I don't need more women. You know how many women I have in my life right now? Do you have any idea how many women I have all over the planet Earth? I don't need more girls. So I would say, wow, she's hot. I don't need more women. See, I'm not the guy to ask about those kind of things. I'm already at the level of achievement. Do you agree that Charlie Sheen's lifestyle on 2.5 Men was pretty alpha male 2.0? Yes, I would agree with that. That actually was a very good show before he left. That was one of the last good TV shows, certainly the last good sitcom. Yeah, but there are things that show you can't do anymore. So that was actually a pretty good show. Yes, he was pretty alpha 2.0. So you rarely did you see the Charlie Sheen character in that show get mad if a girl was flirting with another guy, or you rarely did you see him telling women what to do. He didn't really do that, did he? So yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would. A lot of the women would boss him around, would attempt to boss him. There's that clip on the internet, which I have one of my podcasts, where his girlfriend says, I don't want to talk about it, but it's off topic. But anyway, yeah, I would agree with this, yes. Do you also think men are more harshly judged for leaving women? Yes, that is less true today than it used to be, but the answer is yes. Are your businesses organized in a way that most things would still run if you got in an accident but are still out for a month? Yes, they are. The last few weeks, I have not put in my regular work hours because of all the travel and family stuff I've been doing. So my work hours have really dropped last 4 weeks, and things have been fine. You know, not ideal, but fine. If so, could you make a video about making a company independent? No, I don't think so, because that doesn't apply to most of my audience. Most of my audience need to start a business. That's more of an advanced business thing that I would teach in some kind of coaching program or one-on-one coaching. Speaking of which, I have a one-on-one coaching call coming up here. Make sure I'm good on time. I'll answer a few more questions. I got to go. Hang on. Had Oneitis in my early 20s. Took me 7 years to get over her. Yeah, that's what happens, right? Then had Oneitis 7 years back for another 5.5 years. Yep. Both times I lost everything. Boys, Caleb's on point 100% here. Yeah. Yep. So now don't make that mistake again. What metal bands or metal subgenres do you enjoy the most? Do you filter for songs with positive lyrics now? I don't. I should, but I don't. But I don't listen to metal all the time. When I'm working, I listen to focus music and binaural beats and things like that. You don't want to listen to heavy metal while you're working. So metal subgenres, 80s metal. We didn't have subgenres back in my day. I know they do now. Speed metal and all kinds of shit. I like Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, the 80s stuff. So extreme 80s Def Leppard, stuff like that. Hard rock / metal. That's what I like. Does having threesomes with your Oneitis help against Oneitis? No, it does not, because you're still having something with her. Nope. I remember you used a cool marching music as the intro to your older SMIC podcast. Do you remember the name for that? It's not the Godzilla one. Yes, that is from that is from the Beowulf movie, the Beowulf animated movie from like 2006. Don't you think it's dumb how sugar babies are picky even though they are getting paid? No, it's not dumb because that's what you would do. If you were a smoking hot 23-year-old girl, you would be very picky even though you're getting paid because you can do it. So it's not dumb at all. It's very smart for when it's you don't like it. Not that it's dumb. You would do the same thing. This is why I always tell red pill guys, women do that. If you were a smoking hot 22-year-old girl, you would do the same thing. It's not dumb. It's smart. You don't have to like it. I don't like it. But they're not being dumb. It works. Here's where it gets dumb. I'll tell you when it gets dumb. When women over 33 start doing it. Okay? When some 36-year-old woman who's a little overweight starts, flipping her hair saying, you won't date younger girls and, I should be enough. And you need to date me, go on 5 dates with me before and don't have sex with anyone else. And I'll see if I like you. That's where it gets dumb. I used to suffer from 1.0 Oneitis. Had to go to therapy and heal some codependency things and stuff from my childhood. And it was so worth it. Now I'm full 2.0. Cool. I think many men need to do this. I didn't address that. I probably should have. If you have hardcore Oneitis that lasts for years and you do these things and they're not helping, many of you motherfuckers need to go to therapy. I know what you're going to say. Therapists don't work. They're all liberals. I tried it once. It didn't work. Okay. There's a percentage of you hearing the sound of my voice that needs to go talk to somebody. And if you're going to say, I tried that once and it didn't work, you have to follow the rule of 3, which I follow in my business life. You see 3 of them, not one. You see 3 of them. And if you want to filter for men, that's fine. 3 of them and pick the one that does the best. Work with that guy. Even when I'm dating, fucking several women at once, I can sometimes get Oneitis for my favorite, which I fear is happening now. How to combat this, even with many options. Everything I just said. There's something in the big list of 10 things I just said that you're not doing. Do those. Now, wait a second. You can like one the best. That's not Oneitis. I always like one the best. I'm not talking about Pig Firefly, but before her. When I had multiple FBs and MLTRs, there's always one you like the best. That's normal. That's okay. When I had 3 MLTRs, there's always one I like the best. I have FBs now. There's one trust me, there's one I like the best. There's actually 2. 2 I like the best. I got a lot of FBs. So that's okay to like the best. That's not Oneitis. So just be aware of it. Will I be subject to paying taxes in Mexico if I were to obtain a Mexican passport? Only if you stay in Mexico for 183 plus days per calendar year. For people who have obtained their Mexican passport, what are the typical advantages and disadvantages you get? There are no disadvantages whatsoever. Get it. It's not about whether you have a passport. It's how often, how many months per year you stay in the country. 6 months, stay more than 6 months in Mexico, you will pay tax. Or at least you're required to. Some guys fudge that. Can't speak to that. For guys who find it hard to get a second date after the first date, what are the common mistakes you see guys make that cause this problem? There's so many. I have a book called Get to Sex Fast. Chapter 21 on that book, I believe, is, one of the chapters is the 21 things to not do on a first date. And that's what guys do wrong. There's like 21 things. I'll randomly pull some out of my head. Looking at your phone too much. Put your fucking phone away, even if she's looking at your phone. You can't say, well, she's looking at her phone, so I'm going to look at mine. You're out. The rules don't apply to her. She's a girl. She can pick anyone she wants. You can't. Put your phone away. Don't brag about yourself, how awesome you are and how much money you make. Don't do that. Don't talk about any ex-girlfriends or ex-wives or why are women like this. Do not flirt with the waitress. Do not be mean to the waitress. Be really nice to her. Don't be mean or dismissive. So many things. Don't do too much talking. She needs to do 80% of the talking. Go get that book. I'm always seeing women and I'm like, I could fall in love with her, so Oneitis is just stupid. What? I'm always seeing women and I'm like, I could fall in love with her, so Oneitis is just stupid. I don't quite know what you mean. Rarely do I fall in love. It happens, but it's pretty rare. I'm in an odd situation. I was getting separated, but now she wants me to stay. Okay? Not relevant. I don't know if it's worth staying for 3 years until I leave the country. I can't speak to your scenario. If you're monogamous, you should leave. Are you monogamous? Yeah, then leave. It should be GFTHYOW, throw hotter and younger in there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I added in there. Hotter and younger. Yeah, which is not hard. Most of these guys, I'll be honest with you, most of you guys who get Oneitis for someone usually aren't smoking hot girls or smoking hot babes. They're just normal girls you like. So getting someone hotter and or younger usually isn't very hard. Now, obviously, if she's 20, younger will be a little difficult. Then just go for hotter. My 2 cents to provide Oneitis, guys. I've noticed that 8s and 9s are easier to get than 6s and 7s. Caleb, can you explain why? Any advice to get the 10s more often? They usually are hard to get. That is a very big topic I've talked about in other podcasts. I have a mini course on how to do that. I've written articles about that on 10s. I'm not going to talk about that. Very big topic. Yes, I have said before that 9s in particular are easier to get than 6s and 7s. And the reason for that is, and 10s are more difficult. That's all true. None of this has to do with Oneitis, though. I don't know why you mentioned this in terms of Oneitis. The reason for this is, in the modern era, with all this feminine empowerment, post-masculine society, which is what we now live in, you guys did this, 6s and 7s think they're 10s. 8s and 9s, 9 in particular, a 9 is a 10 with one flaw. Maybe her nose is a little too big. Maybe she has a little weird thing on her ear. Maybe she has a little thing on her face. She's got one flaw. That's what a 9 is. A 9 is a 10 with one flaw. And when you're a 9 who is a 10 with one flaw, all you think about all day as a woman is that one flaw, which means now you think you're ugly. So that's why they're pretty easy. 10s know they're 10s. That's why 10s are hard. 10s know they're 10s. They know. They're well aware that they are 10s. And they use it. So I live in a monogamous LTR with a girlfriend right now. You already answered. I already asked that question. If you hit up a listen fitty after a year and she doesn't respond to the first resurrection text, could you try again a week later? No. And maybe use a voice note, or is this pestering comes up as extra needy? It's pestering. Wait several months, then do a voice note. I have one kid, by the way. He will be 18 by then. Still not relevant to your original question. I got in the habit of telling girls I'm looking for an open relationship when I ask what I'm looking for. That's not my technique, but okay. Most will go, what? Will that work if she says she's open to it when I tell her? Will it work if she says she's open to it? Yes. But what percentage of women go, oh, okay, it's a great idea? Very few. Rephrase of the earlier question. If you have sex for the first time and find out the sex is less, if you have sex for the first time and find out the is less attractive naked or bad in bed, how do you deal with that the next day? It's an unintentional one night stand. Okay, got it. I have experienced this. It's rare, but I have experienced this. There's no protocol for this. You could text her in a few days, say, hey, how's it going? And just don't ask her out again. To be nice. I like to be nice to people. So what I would do is just talk to her the next day or the day after. Not the next day, maybe the day after. Say, hey, how's it going? Just talk to her, but don't bring up meeting up again. I think I've done that. I've told the story about many years ago. I was still in Portland. There was a 10, and Pink Fireflies corroborated she's a 10. I showed her pictures of her, and Pink Fireflies like, yeah, she's a 10. Very excited to have sex with her. Went home. Sex was awful. Awful. It was awful. It was awful. She was beautiful. Sex was terrible. Never saw her again. Just couldn't do it. I think I did something like that. Nice person. Well, not even that nice of a person. When using Bumble, is it better or to make your age younger if you're targeting younger women? I'm 45. You can. You can't keep changing your age over and over again, but yes, you can. And then you state somewhere in the profile text that you are older than what you, hey, my profile says I'm 35. I'm actually older than that. I have done that. You gotta come clean about this stuff, but you can make your age younger to match more women. Yes, that's fine. Does the over 33 rule apply to all women, or are there some races, cultures not as bad? It applies to all women, more or less. My son Josh says jujitsu doesn't work. Just stand up. All right. What do you find weird or strange about the polyamorous, non-monogamous subcultures? What separates men in those circles versus Alpha 2.0s? How would an Alpha 2.0 go about pursuing women in these subcultures? I've written about this in my blogs. These subcultures, unfortunately, tend to attract extreme beta male pussies and strong dominant women. So the poly community tends to, I'm making a generalization, this isn't always true, but tends to attract badass, average looking badass dominant women with these beta male pussy men. So you have these, and these red pill guys love to make fun of these couples. You'll see this average looking girl sitting on a couch and her two really skinny beta boyfriends. And they're both talking about how amazing she is. So she's banging two guys and they're banging just her. Tends to attract people like that. Also tends to attract more hippie types, hippie dudes, hippie chicks. So that's, none of this is my world. So yeah, that's usually what those subcultures look like. Not always. Not always. So what you could do, play your cards right. You could go. I've heard peripherally of guys doing this. I don't know anyone's done this, but I've heard stories. You could be a hardcore alpha male 2.0, insert yourself into one of these subcultures, and just fucking clean up and just get all these girls, get a huge harem. Here's the other problem: the women are usually not that hot. They're not in these swinger communities, these poly communities. The women aren't smoking hot. They're about average in most cases. Yes, I'm generalizing. Charlie Sheen was not outcome independent. He had a lot of mommy issues portrayed in the show that poured into his relationship life. Eventually got Oneitis the show too. So you're talking about the Charlie Sheen character. Yes, eventually all men in all sitcoms, all alpha males in all sitcoms become beta males, including in the that nerd show. Not 30 Rock for the Sun. Big Bang Theory. They all started out as four funny nerds and they all got girlfriends, right? So yes, eventually got stupid. Don't watch those seasons. Correct. The mommy issues was not, but the mommy issues was about him not committing. It was more alpha stuff, not beta stuff. Would you and your daughter ever discuss, debate age gap relationships on your channel? Sure, we could. Sure. We did discuss that a little bit. She's on my YouTube channel, Alpha 2.0. Sure, yes, we can do that. She'd be happy to do it. Oh, she'd be happy. She cannot stand older men hooking up with like teenage girls, even if it's legal and consensual. It drives her crazy. It's like women cannot consent until they're 26 because they're not adults. Rawr! Even though she's 26. My daughter's very cute. In response to my previous comment, I'm going away until Sunday, so I will see her. I'm back on Monday. Should I still message her a lot in the meantime? Yes. My company makes good money, but with a couple employees. I don't use employees. That's not Alpha 2.0, but okay. Makes about $300K a year and generates me around $80K a year of revenue. So, dude, you could get that net way up to doing that employees. You don't want to, that's not even it. What is that? 30, that's under a 30% net. Not good. If I get rid of my employees, my income would drop. Should I still do it? You don't get rid of your employees, you convert them to subcontractors. You're not getting this. You don't get rid of them, you convert to subcontractors. I'm also considering going opposite, hiring more so I can resell it resell it to a bigger group. That's a different objective. Building a business to sell it is a very different objective than building a business to keep it, in my view. So that's a whole different thing. Had the OLTR talk with my girl the other week, and now she's joking around. Okay, I already talked about that. This BJJ black belt disagrees with Josh. I know who you are, man, medicine. Oh, it's a meme in the UFC. Oh, it's a meme? Oh, see, I didn't know this in the UFC community. Okay, just stand up. Oh, God. All right, cool. Are there any announcements? See, I'm traveling now, and I'm not as organized as I normally am. I don't think I have any announcements, do I? No, I don't. Business Builder, yeah, you can't. Enrollment's closed on that. If you still want to sign up, I think you can still sign up for this for our Uruguay event, but that's like in 2 weeks, so probably too late for that. And even for the get to know Paraguay event, that'll be about 2 weeks because I'm going down there next week. So yeah, I guess not. I guess so. There'll be a Mexico event with Billy in Cancun in August. We'll talk about that soon. And yeah, I'm just spitballing. Never mind. I'll just let you guys go. All right, last question. Oh, there's two. Thanks for everything, Caleb. You have taught me so much over the years. Seriously changed my life. Cool. Love it. Problem is that many of my clients want location-dependent consultants, so hiring consultants as employees. What? The problem is my clients want location-dependent consultants. That's fine. You hire on-the-ground contractors in their local cities. I've done this. That's fine. You're making excuses. So hiring consultants as employees is more profitable than subcontractors where I live. I do not believe you. You are wrong, unless you are doing something very unusual, which I doubt. So I do not agree with you at all. Cool. I will see you guys next Monday at Unchained CEO. There will not be an Alpha 2.0 live stream next week. For the following week, there will be. It'll be live from Paraguay. Cool.